Hello everybody and welcome to the Football Philosophy channel, and this is the ratings show. I've got the ratings from the Independent in front of me, from the 9-0 victory at home against Southampton. As I said on an earlier show, I never expected to be saying that, a 9-0 victory. I didn't think that had happened this season. Shouldn't complain. I was only complaining a week or so ago on a show that we need to start scoring more goals and we need to try and get our goal difference up to somewhere near City's, which is now only about 4, I think, behind City's. And it's, I said on a show earlier that it was a bit behind Liverpool's, over in front of Liverpool's, which I thought it was, but it's not. I've checked it since. The goal difference is level with Liverpool's. As I've already said, not that you can expect anything to go to goal difference. It might not matter one jot at the end of the season, the goal difference. But there's no harm in having it somewhere near, just in case. And at the same time, it builds confidence if you can win your games by a few goals. Not that I'm expecting them to win by 9-0 very often. I was just saying previous shows that I'd love us to start winning some games by 2 and 3 goals rather than always by 1, as we seem to have been doing for quite a while now. So to get 9 was a bonus. Obviously, don't get carried away, aided and abetted, unbelievably so, massively so, by Southampton being absolutely injury ravaged. Obviously, we're a massive club and we've got great resources. They're not so big, and they've got most, and we've not got major injury problems. I don't think we had a single injury problem to somebody who you think might have started in the starting lineup. And they had apparently 9 people missing, you know, ranging from 3, 4, maybe 5 players who would start, and then 3 or 4 people who would be the automatic replacements for those players. So they really had to dig deep. And then one of the young lads who they gave a start to, a Premier League debut, assaulted Scot McTominay in the first 2 minutes, and they played for 88 minutes with 10 men. But nevertheless, they had to be professional United, do a professional job and keep going for it, and they did do that. And to get 9 goals on our goal difference was a bonus. As I say, probably won't matter at the end of the season, your goal difference, but always say you don't know. So doing the ratings after a game like that, it's a little bit difficult, because how can you blame a player for trying 1 or 2 things in a game where at the time that you're doing it, you're 4 up at half time against 10 men and you're 5 up and 6 up. So but you have got to be professional. So I've had a look at the ratings from the Independent. Really, what I'm gonna do this for mainly, I am gonna do a player in focus. And the last couple of games I've done, I did Anthony Martial against Sheffield United. I did Bruno in one game. And I've done Marcus Rashford at Arsenal. I did all of those just off my own back, if you like. I chose them myself. I'm going to do a poll on Twitter for this one, and just see who wants me to look. You might think there isn't any point, but when I do look at a player, directly at that player, you do see 1 or 2 things that you didn't really notice when you was watching the game live. I've watched the game again, by the way, and as I always say, even watching the game again, you're not concentrating on one player. So I will do a player in focus for this, and we will vote on it. But the Independent ratings, David De Gea, they've given him a 6. Had little to do in the match aside from a fine save to tip James Ward-Prowse's close range free kick over the bar. Kept a clean sheet, I'd say. I'd sooner give him a 7 than a 6, so I'm going with a 7 for that. He's got to concentrate. They got more corners than he expected, and obviously there's great delivery from James Ward-Prowse. There was one particularly vicious one that he dealt with really well, just under the crossbar, under a bit of pressure. In fact, he got a free kick for it, but he still had to save it. He didn't know he was going to get a free kick for it. So I'm giving David De Gea a 7. I like to give a keeper a 7 if he keeps a clean sheet. What else can you really expect of him? We were a bit lucky though, by the way. I thought it was a bit harsh, the VAR. I'm falling out with that VAR big time, even though it was in our favour, the offside goal that they scored. I don't like all this, like his big toe was offside and what have you. I really don't like it, whichever way it goes. Adam Wan-Bissaka got a 7 open to scoring in a fine move that will perhaps only briefly silence those critics of the full-pack's offensive ability. I'll agree with that. He gets a 7 off me as well. Victor Lindelof a 6. They've given a routine evening for the centre-back, largely spared the pace of a repositioned Danny Ings due to Jankowicz's red card. I don't see any reason to change that from a 6 to a 7. I'd agree with that. They didn't have a lot to do, 2 centre-backs, not a lot to deal with. Harry Maguire, an equally uneventful night for the captain, who dealt with any small flickers of danger accordingly. They've given him a 6. I'll settle for a 6 on that. Luke Shaw, they've given him an 8. Another brilliant performance, assisting Wan-Bissaka's opener and a constant threat every time he barreled forwards. Barreled forwards, that's an unusual term. Rightly taken off at half-time to preserve his fitness. They've given him an 8. I think I'd say a 7, really. I think he played well. He played very well, you know. As I say, let's get me most recent ratings out. 7 is good or well, you know. Not, I'd say a 7. I'd say a 7. A 6 is decent or above average. So I think decent to above average is fine for Victor Lindelof and Harry Maguire. I think a 7 for Wan-Bissaka and Luke Shaw. They both got attacking to do. I think I'm right in saying that Wan-Bissaka got an assist as well as a goal, didn't he? I'm pretty sure he did. And Scot McTominay, they've given an 8. Marshalled in front of the defence well and linked up play, but had little trouble to negotiate. Took his goal in great style in the second half. He's got a fair few goals this season, Scot McTominay. I always say that about him. He's a bit of a goal threat, and I know it was a game. I think when he scored, it was about the 7th goal. Doesn't really matter, but he still smashed it in absolutely superbly from outside the box. It would have took some saving if the opposition had 12 men, let alone 10. But yeah, it was a well taken goal. But again, I would say a 7's good enough. I'd say he played well. It's difficult to say certain people played really well. I think you know, they've given 8s to 1 or 2 people, and I don't think you need to do that. I think they just played well. Virtually everybody played well. Fred, well, I've knocked a few down. Did a good job at left back after Solskjaer brought Shaw off at half time to reduce any injury concerns. I would just say 6 for Fred. Decent, above average, that is. Mason Greenwood, they've said 7. Played a great goal in Rashford's a great role in Rashford's goal, but would have loved to have got on the score sheet himself. I'm sure he would have done. But I would agree with that, a 7 for Mason Greenwood. He kept everything nice and simple. Played pretty well for me. So I think a 7. Bruno, a 7. As always, the heartbeat of United's side, although they did not need to rely on his fantastic talents tonight. Converted from the spotlight on, they've given him a 7, which is well. I would say yes, he played well. Bruno, definitely. And Marcus Rashford, an 8. I don't agree with that. I think a 7, you know, no better than the other players, really. And Edison Cavani, an 8. Such a commanding... Sorry, for Marcus, he took his 16th goal of the season in clinical fashion and appears to be only getting better. Well, he certainly got better in this game. He was absolutely horrendous at the Emirates, so it's a fine balancing act. But I would say he played well enough on the night, so 7 for me. And Edison Cavani, I don't think I'm giving anybody an 8. No, they've given Edison an 8. Again, I'll say a 7. He played well. I don't think you need to go over the top playing against a 10-man team who are already weakened to start with. You know, they've got a weak team out. It's like playing, you know, you're playing against really a struggling team in a big way, and then they're down to 10 men. I don't think you need to go over the top about people's performances in that game unless someone was absolutely outstanding, which I don't think they were. Such a commanding presence up front. He caused hell for Southampton centre-backs from the off and took his headed goal wonderfully before being brought off early. But yeah, they give him an 8. I'll say a 7. For whatever reason, they don't seem to... I always mark people if they get half a game, and we made 2 substitutions at half-time. Van der Beek and Anthony Marshall. I was glad to see Marshall get on the score sheet. He's been getting a lot of criticism for having not scored. I think Anthony Marshall gets hold of the ball well. I think he passes it well. I think he nearly always plays well when he's on a football field. I really rate him highly, and I'm sure he will be getting better marks off people who do mark him. They've not marked him, or they don't seem to have marked him. I've had it printed off this. They don't seem to have marked him in the Independent. I'll give him a 7 for his second half performance, and I'll give Van der Beek a 7 for his second half performance. And what I was about to say, I'm sure there'll be lots of people saying Marshall played a lot better last night. And all it's because he scored 2 goals. He didn't play any better than what he played against Arsenal at the weekend. He also got hold of the ball well, made good decisions and passed it well. So, but a 7 is perfectly fine. So for the player in focus, I'm only going to pick people who played a full game. I'm going to put 4 people on Rick the Red UK on Twitter for people to vote on. They've given Aaron Wan-Bissaka a 7. I'll put Aaron on there. They've given Mason a 7. I'll put Mason on there. Bruno a 7. I'll put Bruno on there. And Marcus, Marcus didn't play a full game. Neither did Edison. I want to choose people who had a full game. Fred got a 7. So there's 4 people there, all on 7 by the paper, and 3 of them have got 7s off me. I've given Fred a 6. I thought there was 2 or 3 sloppy passes that I remember. I also remember him shooting a couple of times when he shouldn't really have shot. And I always say, I know I'm going to contradict myself here. I always say that people in these ratings, I see them giving a generalisation. In fact, there's a generalisation here. Which one did I spot? I can't find it now. But you do see generalisations about how they've been playing, which shouldn't really be relevant when you're giving a mark on this game. So I know I'm sort of contradicting myself, but Fred's shooting, I think, is absolutely shocking. And he had a couple of shots last night, and if it was down to me, I'd be saying to him, you know, virtually under no circumstances do you shoot, certainly from outside the box. And he tried to place one that went about 8 yards wide, and another one, the commentator thought he'd tried to place it, but the way I saw him strike that ball, it looked like he tried to hit it with power to me, but he still didn't have any power in it anyway. That's why the commentator thought he'd tried to place it. But that was how I saw it. So I've given Fred a 6, and I've given Mason a 7, Bruno a 7, and I've given Wan-Bissaka a 7. I'm going to put those 4 on Twitter in a poll for people to decide. They can vote on and decide who will be the player in focus. This is pre-recorded, this show. It's just before the games kick off this evening. I've picked 2 games to watch. I'm going to watch Fulham versus Leicester. I think that'll be very interesting. Fulham have really turned the corner in the last couple of months, really. They're looking solid. I think they'll give Leicester the right game. Don't know if Vardy's fit. I think Vardy's still out, so I think Leicester might struggle there. It could be an interesting game. And Villa v West Ham at 8:15. I'm going to watch that. I've seen on Sky that Jesse might be starting for West Ham, they've said, so I don't know where they got that information from, but Jesse's obviously in the squad for West Ham and might start. And I'm always interested in other parts of the table, and West Ham are 5th at the minute, 35 points from 21 games. This is a massive game between these 2 clubs. Villa have got 32 points, so they're 3 points behind West Ham. Villa are in 9th, West Ham are in 5th, and Villa are 3 points behind West Ham, but they've got 2 games in hand. So it's a big game. If West Ham, I mean, I'm sure a draw wouldn't be too bad for either of them, but if West Ham can win, it'll give them the upper hand just about. Whereas if Villa can win, you know, Villa would be on level points with West Ham, and with 2 games in hand on them. So it's a massive game for both clubs, a massive game. So that should be interesting. It's Spurs v Chelsea tomorrow night as well. I don't see why West Ham and Villa, particularly if Villa can win, if either of them can win, if either of these win this game tonight, I don't see why they should not be eyeing a top 4 spot. I really don't. I mean, West Ham at the minute, they're only 2 points clear of Spurs and Chelsea, but Spurs and Chelsea play each other tomorrow. They can't both win. You know what I mean? There's going to be points dropped by at least one of them, maybe both of them tomorrow. And West Ham are in front of them both. If West Ham can win tonight, they could be lengthening that gap tomorrow night, and they're in 5th. And Leicester have just gone off the boil a little bit in 4th. So, you know, I'm not saying they can do it. It might be a tall order for them. But if I was a West Ham fan, without a doubt, I will be hoping that we've got to stay in the hunt as long as we can, or a Villa fan, and thinking that we might have a chance of Champions League football. It's a slim chance, it really is, but nevertheless, a chance. So I'm going to watch both of those games tonight, Fulham, Leicester, Villa, West Ham. I hope you've enjoyed that show. If you've enjoyed it, please tell all your friends. Please subscribe. If you didn't enjoy it, don't tell anybody. Keep stum.